You're listening to The Bible Guys, a podcast where a couple of friends talk about the Bible in fun and practical ways.
Well, you are back for another amazing... Well, we're back. I don't know if our listeners are back. I'm assuming they're back for another platinum edition of The Bible Guys. This week we have Wesley Woods with us. Chris Arbaugh is out of the studio doing some really great missionary work down in the Dominican Republic. And so we have this great episode where Jesus is, I think, maybe engaging in one of the most beautiful moments in all of Jesus' ministry today. Yeah. And so I'm looking forward to getting into that. But before we do, Des has this really great episode or segment for us called Who's Most Likely. Yeah. I love these, Wesley. Yeah. These are so fun. So we have to take a vote of who's most likely. So the first one is, who's most likely to talk to themselves in public and not notice? So
that's tough.
I'm going to say me.
Well, I was going to say, I might say me on that one.
You? Yeah.
Especially if you're trying to work through something.
Yeah.
You know, like, should I get this one? I don't know. You know.
So when I'm driving, probably 2/3 of the time I don't have any music going.
Yeah, that's the same with me.
And I'm just thinking. Yeah. I'm working through a problem. I'm trying to figure out a thing. And I have found myself before answering myself and looking at somebody, and they're just looking at me kind of weird, you know.
Like I didn't ask anything. Yeah.
So then just put your hand up to your ear like before you talk, like you're talking. And, yeah. So I do on occasion talk to myself. So that's it.
Yeah, I would say that's a tie right there.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the second one. Who's most likely to start a story and forget the ending? That's every day for me. Every day.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. How about you? Do you ever do that?
Yeah, I've done that before where you start it and it's so good. You know how like you're ramping up to the ending?
I was in a meeting the other day and it was so important where I was going.
Yeah.
And then somebody said something and it totally distracted me.
Just
took me down another road, and I'm like, how does that even apply, right? So I'm going there, and suddenly I can't remember the application of what I was saying. Yeah. I was like, what was I just talking about? Everybody around the room is trying to remind me what I said. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's where we're going.
Oh, it's the worst,
that's
man.
Pretty good.
I'm so embarrassed. For a storyteller to not remember the ending of their story is terribly embarrassing. Who's most likely to build a blanket fort as an adult?
Now, here's the thing. I might say you on that one. You know why?
Yeah.
Because of your grandson.
I got grandkids. Yeah. So
well, actually, he has a fort in your backyard.
Yeah, there's a big fort. The house we bought, the previous owners had this really high end fort custom built,
and so he claimed it as his.
Oh, it's his. It's his. Yep, Rowan took it over. It's his now.
Yeah.
So that's great. Who's most likely to say "you too" when the waiter says "enjoy your meal"?
I just did this. I literally. You know how you give the person at the airport we were just on vacation last week. They scan your stuff and you walk down and they say, have a good flight. And I responded back, you too? You too? And it's like, well, that really doesn't apply. But
you ever see Brian Regan when he does that thing and they're like, have a good luck flight. Have a nice flight. If you ever get to fly too. Yeah. I hope it's a good one, right?
But no, I just did that.
Yeah, that's so funny. Okay. And then who's most likely to Google, do penguins have knees at 2 a.m.?
Oh, see, that's tricky. Now, I'm a night owl.
Are you?
I love staying up late.
Yeah.
But normally, if I'm staying up late, it's either a documentary that I'm watching, which my wife is like, why are you watching a World War II documentary at 1 a.m.? Either that or something just like completely dumb funny. Oh, yeah. One of the two of those.
Right. So you're not your brain's not just running wild at 2 a.m.
No,
yeah, me either. I am a sound asleep at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
So I'm usually an 11 o'clock, midnight kind of a person.
Yeah.
When I go to sleep, but I put my head on the pillow and I'm out in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't. Probably not once a month do I have an in the middle of the night.
Yeah, where you're trying to see.
Not hardly ever does it happen. So that's definitely not me doing that one. Although I am curious, do they have knees? I've never even thought of that.
That is a good question.
Let's Google it right now.
I can picture the leg and the thin leg, and normally if they're have a small, just a newborn penguin.
Google says yes, penguins do have knees.
So maybe it's further up. I don't know.
Yeah, it says, although their knees are tucked up inside their bodies
That's
and
what it
hidden by
is.
feathers, they possess a femur, a knee joint, a tibia, and a fibula in each leg, just like humans and other animals.
Yeah, you just can't see it.
They have hidden knees.
Yeah.
Okay. Are they embarrassed? They embarrassed about their knees? Is that-
Guess so.
I don't know. Anyways, there you go. Now, it's no wonder people tune in to the Bible
it's
guys.
for this.
It's the
it's
riveting,
not the Bible teaching.
That's right. It's the riveting information that we bring to the table. So that's funny. So now you're a documentary guy.
Yeah, I love documentaries.
And then do you ever search weird stuff like that where it just crosses your mind? No, not at 2 a.m., but just all of a sudden go.
Not normally. Normally how it starts, you know how the algorithm knows you.
Sure.
So
yeah.
a documentary will come up and then I go down the rabbit trail.
Oh, okay.
So like I'll watch one and then like, oh, this one's interesting about why there's no bridge between, North America and South America through the Darien Gap.
Yeah.
So then now I got to watch that one. So
That's
then,
true.
then you just kind of go down this rabbit trail.
So a documentary kind of person, that usually means you're a pretty curious kind of person. Is that the?
Yeah.
I think curiosity is an important trait that we don't celebrate enough.
Yeah.
Right.
But my daughter doesn't understand it. She comes downstairs and on Saturday I'm watching like the History Channel. She's like, Dad, what is this?
Yeah. Well, good. Well,
Yeah.
I think a good, healthy sense of curiosity helps you become a Renaissance kind of a man, right?
Yeah.
Where you curiosity drives you to learn lots of different things.
Yeah.
Lots of different things.
Yep.
I just talking about this, not to brag, Wesley.
Yeah.
I hate to brag. I think humility is one of my favorite traits. But I was reading, and I like to read the headlines.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't like to read articles a lot of times. I don't want news websites or whatever to tell me what to think.
Yeah.
I rarely watch the news.
Yeah.
I don't want talking heads to tell me what to believe.
You don't want a commentator telling you what you should think about
That's
the
right.
news?
I can't stand that. And I don't need them to tell me 9 times this hour the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And tell me what to think about it. Right? Yeah. So usually I'll read my news, and most of the time it's just headlines.
Yeah.
Well, then I love to just kind of cruise through all of the headlines for the day from maybe 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 different sources. Yeah. Well, then all of a sudden, like Wall Street Journal or whatever, I think I was in one of the science magazines, come across this thing, and it was talking about math process to be able to estimate total numbers of things. Yeah. And I read this thing, and then I'm like, you're never going to believe what I just read about how to figure out estimates better. And everybody's looking at me, their eyes are rolling back in their head. I was like, this is the most amazing thing ever. And I'm not a big math guy, but this was a brilliant solution.
This is a breakthrough.
It's how the British were able to figure out estimate how many tanks the Nazis had in World War II.
Yeah.
And it's a fabulous algorithm that they worked out. And it's super simple.
Yeah.
I loved it. And everybody's like, you are so weird, right? But there's just this weird curiosity.
Yeah.
That I think that's one of the reasons why we're buddies, because we wind up talking to each other about really weird stuff in the office sometimes. Well, hey, talking about, I don't know. I was going to say talking about weird stuff, but
that doesn't apply here. but that was a good transition.
Yeah. So I don't even have a bad. Here's the bad transition. I don't have a bad transition for this one. Usually we set a goal to have like the worst possible transition from the goofy segment into the Bible study part. But we are in John chapter 8. And we're going to read 1 through 11. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the sweetest passages. And to be honest with you, there's some curiosity for me in this passage that I'm looking forward to talking about. In John chapter 8, verse 1, it says, Jesus returned to the Mount of Olives, which is just outside the city of Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. But early the next morning, he was back again at the temple. A crowd soon gathered, and he sat down and taught them. As he was speaking, the teachers of religious law and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in the act of adultery, and they put her in front of the crowd. Teacher, they said, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. The law of Moses says to stone her. What do you say? And they were trying to trap him into saying something they could use against him. But Jesus stooped down and wrote in the dust with his finger. And they kept demanding an answer, so he stood up again and said, all right, but let the one who has never sinned throw the first stone. And then he stooped down again and wrote in the dust. When the accusers heard this, they slipped away one by one, beginning with the oldest, until only Jesus was left in the middle of the crowd with the woman. And then Jesus stood up again and said to the woman, where are your accusers? Didn't even one of them condemn you? No, Lord, she said. And Jesus said, neither do I. Go and sin no more.
Yeah.
There you go, man. This is one of my favorite stories in the Bible.
Yeah, that's a great story. And I want to point out one thing here. And it's in verse 3, and it says, as he was speaking, the teachers of religious law and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in the act.
Right.
So can you imagine how embarrassed this woman was?
Complete humiliation.
So not that they heard that she was an adulterer. Right. She was caught in the very act of adultery.
Right.
So she is probably embarrassed, ashamed, doesn't even want to show her face.
Yeah.
And they're bringing her before Jesus, this religious leader, to see what Jesus has to say about this. So that's just one point, that just the gravity of the moment.
I always read this, and she was caught in the act of adultery, and you're like, right?
Yeah.
The humiliation, the shame, everything she was doing was laid bare in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody in their culture knew this was a death penalty issue. Mm-hmm. But I always wonder, where's the dude?
Yeah.
If she was caught in the act, there were two of them.
Yeah.
Right? So where's the dude?
Yeah.
And they just bring the woman out, right, to do this. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to use it against Jesus, because if Jesus says, well, stone her, then the Pharisees would say, oh, where's Jesus' mercy and love? All he ever talks about love, but now he wants this woman executed.
Yeah.
And if
he doesn't say,
if he says disobey the law, then they're like, what kind of prophet is he to disobey God's law?
Yeah. And they were constantly doing this to Jesus.
Yeah. So it wasn't about the woman's sin.
Yeah. They could have cared less about that. They wanted to entrap Jesus.
It was just an entrapment.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was terrible. So there's this really great note in the Life Application Study Bible. It says, imagine the complete humiliation of being in this woman's place. She stood alone in public, surrounded by angry accusers. They had laid bare her terrible sin for all to see. And the man caught with her was nowhere to be seen. Jesus rescued her from her sin and her shame and her indignity and death. Jesus knows your worst sins, and yet he offers you compassion and mercy. Let his mercy give you the courage to face your guilt. His love will overcome your shame. Don't deny it or despair. Be sorry for your sins, seek the Lord, and receive his forgiveness. I love that whole thing, right? It's just such a beautiful thing that she's completely exposed, so humiliated, and Jesus goes, watch this. And in the most unbelievable way, Jesus solves this. So he stoops down in the dirt, he starts drawing in the dirt, doodling, doing something, and then they say, so what do you say we should do? Should we stone her?
Yeah.
And Jesus stands up and he says, well, why don't you that has no sin, why don't you cast the first stone? And then it says he stooped down again and wrote in the dust. Yeah. And man, when I get to heaven, I want to find out what he's writing. Yeah. But I'm hoping he was writing the names of those very Pharisees that also had an affair with this woman. Yeah. How great would that be? Is it like, Bob Johnson, you were here last Thursday, right? I would love if he's, because whatever he was writing in the sand, the oldest guys, the ones who had the most experience, they were the ones who left first. Yeah. Because, they had also the most sins. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And whatever it was, Jesus was writing down, because he said, whoever has the no sin, you go ahead and cast the first stone. Yeah. And the old guys start leaving until finally the youngest, and it's only Jesus standing there with her. Yeah. What an amazing thing.
And it says that they kept demanding an answer. Yeah. This is the funny part about this. But the thing that I like about this is they kept demanding an answer, and I look at this from a very practical perspective as it relates to us. Yeah. You don't always have to give a response to people.
No, right.
When they're demanding an answer to something. That's just a side note right there.
They kept demanding an answer while he's just writing in the dirt.
Yeah, just completely ignoring them at peace as they're pestering him.
This is why I hope he's writing names. Yeah. Because he's writing their names. So, let's say there's 10 of them or 12 of them there, right? And he goes, Bob is here, and Bill is here, and Dave is here, and Jim is here, right? He's writing out the names. That would be odd. Yeah. And then they're like, what are you doing? And then they start demanding. They're so confident in their trap. Yeah. And one of the most enjoyable things sometimes when you do get somebody trapped is how confident they were until they realize they're trapped. Yeah. Right? That it is kind of and so these guys are so confident. They keep demanding, we got you now, buddy. Yeah. And then he stands up, he goes, okay, sure. You're right. She's supposed to be stoned. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah,
just
make sure the person who's never sinned, you throw the first one, and then we'll all throw some stuff.
Yeah. What I also like about this, Jeff, is the fact that, and I think we need to be careful here, Jesus at no point did he cover over her sin, or did he say her sin was okay?
No, never.
So that's not what Jesus was saying here. He wasn't saying that, what you did, it's not that bad. You know, he didn't do that there. He was simply showing compassion to the woman.
That's right. So there's nowhere in the Bible that says that a woman would have to be put to death on her own for having an affair like this. As a matter of fact, in both Leviticus 20 and in Deuteronomy 22, it says both the man and the woman. So they were already breaking the law coming to Jesus. This was already a moot point. This was already a non-prosecutable crime.
Yeah.
They were caught in the act, but we're only bringing the woman.
Yeah.
Means we can't prosecute this. They knew the law, right?
Yeah.
But they wanted Jesus to put her to death because they would have.
Yeah.
Within their culture, for so long, they had abused that law. And they had gone beyond. And if they get the woman, they would execute the woman and just leave the man free. Men had totally different rights and experiences than the women did. And so this is one of those moments where Jesus elevates the woman, right? He treats the woman better than society was treating the woman. He does this all throughout his ministry where he elevates women. It was women who brought the first evidence that Jesus had resurrected. Yeah. They're oftentimes their testimonies weren't even accepted in court. Jesus allowed the women to be serving in the ministry with him, all these things. He elevated women. He did so much ministry for women. He healed women. He did so many things. But for their culture at the time, women were second rate and expendable. And so that's why they regularly broke the law. And Jesus is saying, hey, if you're going to be precise on the law, let's be precise on the law. Yeah. Right? Where's the man? He didn't bring a man. Okay. Well, then if you're without sin, they had sinned just against that law. Yeah. They brought the woman and didn't bring the man. Yeah. That may have been the only thing he was saying. Yeah. Right? And then they all realized, oh, wait a minute, we didn't do this the right way. Yeah. Right?
So, Jeff, how can we apply this to our lives? There's someone reading this and maybe there's someone, it could be a family member, friend, neighbor, whoever. They feel the person is not living right. The person is in sin. They're ready to condemn them. They're ready to pick up stones. How can we apply this in our life?
Yeah, I think, first of all, Jesus did not condemn her. Our sin condemns us. Yeah. Right? So the wrong that we do is what condemns us. In this situation, Jesus had the right to be the judge. Yeah. He is the judge. The Bible says at the end of time, he'll be the judge. But in this moment, he said, hey, listen, they came to accuse you. In the perfection of the law, your partner should have been with you. So he said, where are your accusers? And she said, I have none, Lord. And he said, then I'm not accusing you either. Yeah. But then he says, go and sin no more. So he acknowledges her sin. Yeah. He acknowledges that what she did was wrong. And this is the difficulty we have. It is possible for me to love you and disagree with your lifestyle. Yeah. It is possible. Right? I loved my children when they were growing up in my home, but I didn't always approve of their lifestyle. Yeah. I do not have to endorse or affirm sinful lifestyles. And at the same time, if I'm like Jesus, I'm also going to be loving. Yeah. So I don't need to condemn you because of it. Your own lifestyle condemns you.
Which oftentimes we as Christians do. Yeah. We will beat the person over the head with the Bible, and we want to add further condemnation on top of the condemnation. Right. It's oftentimes
we
what Christians
make them feel it.
Yeah. You got to feel the pain.
That's right. That's right. And
which Jesus did not do.
That's right. Yeah. So he does affirm the law. Yeah. He says, all right. You're right. That is the law. But then he's really challenging us. A lot of times I think we can rise up above the person that's offended, thinking that our sins aren't as bad as their sins. Yeah. And we forget that my sins put Jesus on the cross just like their sins did.
But that's a really good point of how I think we have degrees of sin. Yeah. So my sin, Jeff, isn't as bad. But yours, you should be stoned. Yeah. You should be cast out. Right. But mine, that was just a little lie. Well, you know how we
tend to extend a lot of grace to ourselves
yes.
and little grace to others. Yeah. Right? Because we know what we meant.
Yeah.
we assumed they meant the worst.
Yes.
And we knew that we really meant to do the best,
Yeah.
but it was just a mistake. So usually we don't sin, we make mistakes.
Yeah.
That's usually what we do. But they sin horribly.
Yeah.
These are horrible monsters.
I think of like cars speeding, that we're near Hall Road. Cars drive fast all the time. If we're going fast late for something, we want grace and mercy from the police.
Yeah.
If someone else goes fast, he's an idiot.
Yeah.
That's kind of how we look at it.
So I'll tell you a quick story on this on this idea. So I'm working on a peace project overseas, and a leader, 2 leaders, wound up butting heads. Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, because they didn't deal with it, bitterness crept in, and they started doing damage to each other. Well, one of the leaders rose and fired the other one.
Oh, man.
Right. Well, then the other one winds up losing everything. He lost his home. He lost his money. He lost his family. He lost everything. Lost his reputation. He's not hireable anymore.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the guy who did the firing starts getting these threatening letters from a terrorist group. We know where your kids go to school, all these things.
Yeah.
So the guy that was the boss starts being afraid for his life, thinking these terrorists, not connecting to, until they kind of discovered maybe the guy who got fired was actually the one that was sending these fake things.
Yeah.
Well, then it blows up. They ruin this other guy's reputation. It just gets so bad.
Yeah.
Right. Well, now maybe that guy whose reputation is ruined is willing to just burn the whole thing down, like Samson, just pull the whole temple down on top of him. Mm-hmm. So I get called in to try to work out some peace, because I think these are both good guys. They just misbehaved.
Yeah.
So in talking with the most offended one, I was like, how do we work for peace? Has Jesus ever forgiven you for something worse than this?
Yeah.
I said, because I don't need to hear the accusations. I know the accusations.
Mm-hmm.
And all you want to do is keep saying the same accusations.
Yeah.
Let's get beyond it. What is your motivation? Is your motivation that you need to punish this guy? Is that it? Because if we won't forgive others, Jesus won't forgive us. So then you want to be punished for all of your sins that Jesus forgave? He goes, no. I said, all right. So what is your only option? And he goes, I need to forgive. And I said, not just forgive. Jesus said, pray for him and do good to him. Mm-hmm. I said, you need to use your power to find a way to do good too. He's like, I will. I'm willing to work that out. Right? So then the other guy, I went to him and I said, let's say, because he's denying that he sent those letters, but we have video evidence.
Yeah.
So I said, let me just set that aside and say that was your worst decision on your worst day because you were desperate. Mm-hmm. Or it's the most extraordinary coincidence in the history of extraordinary coincidence.
Yeah.
It could be that, right?
Yeah.
But I said, let me set both of those aside and let me say, love keeps no record of wrongs. Mm-hmm. So because I love you, if you will allow me to set those aside and say those are your worst day, I can forgive you for your worst day. And I'm going to invite our friend to forgive you for your worst day.
Yeah.
That broke his heart in that moment. Before we were done, I asked him, I said, I want to pray for you, but would you pray for me? And he said, yes. And he says, first sentence, Father, forgive me. I'm sorry for the damage I've caused.
Yeah.
So for 3 years, he's denied being any part of this.
Yeah.
But in the moment I said, I'm willing to set it aside and forgive, I'm believing you did it, but I think it was your worst day and I choose to forgive you even on your worst day.
Yeah.
Everything changed.
Yeah.
Right? Now, he didn't offend me. Mm-hmm. And so we're right on the verge of putting these two men back together and fixing this. And what a great test. This is what Jesus says. Remember when we talked Matthew 18?
Yeah.
That maybe we can restore a brother.
Mm-hmm.
These guys were great friends. How do we bring this back? And maybe, I don't know that they'll ever be best friends again, but how can we get them back to functioning like good, healthy brothers
and
again?
have peace.
It's going to require that we also choose not to prosecute. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
We just choose to forgive. It doesn't mean that you're saying it wasn't a bad sin.
Yeah.
Jesus says, go and sin no more. He said, lady, that was a sin. Don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So it's possible for me to love you and not affirm your lifestyle and encourage you to change and not sin anymore. That's okay. But I have to do it from a position of love and not a position of judgmentalism. The Pharisees came, they wanted to correct the bad behavior too.
Yeah.
But they wanted to kill her.
Yeah.
Right? And Jesus instead extends forgiveness, and he does the same thing for you and me. Thank God he does.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Well, there we go. Let's wrap it up there. Hey, there's probably somebody in your life that you need to encouraged to go and sin no more. And at the same time, maybe it's time for us to drop the rocks in our hands and we don't have to execute the people who've offended us so badly.
Yeah, that's good.
What a powerful one. Well, I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow here on the Bible Guys.